In Ohio, metropolitan park districts have a purpose that's quite different than most park agencies. For example, Five Rivers Metro Parks' prime responsibility is to acquire large blocks of land that can be managed as natural areas. And with the district is, say, skating at Riverscape or lunching at 2nd Street Market. This may come as a surprise, but metro park districts can have that primary function. This all started almost a century ago in Cleveland. The people, right after World War I, in 1917, the people in Cleveland became quite concerned about the loss of river corridors and woodland areas because they were being destroyed for home building. The county engineer wrote a piece of legislation that was passed in the state creating park districts, allowing park districts to be created anywhere in the state. That year, 1917, the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Park District was created in the Cleveland area. The ability to acquire large blocks of land near populated centers in the county and the surrounding area has been probably their outstanding value. We're talking areas of 1,000 acres or more, areas that would provide habitats for wildlife and could be managed as natural areas. Accomplishments, Five Rivers have been a team effort. All the way from the Board of Commissioners to the guy or gal that dumps the garbage on Monday morning after a busy weekend in the parks. I had some input into convincing the board to set a policy of limiting development within the parks. We have, in fact, it still exists. 80% of the park land is to remain in natural area. 20% can be developed. Development, I mean land that could be used for, say, picnic areas and hiking trails, roads, parking lots, large landscaped areas, that type of thing. The conservation staff just informed me that we now have the policy has been altered that requires 90% of the land to remain natural and only 10% to be developed. That's great. Videos, perhaps the first video production that we did for the public, you hear the narrator saying, for much of the land the park owns, the best plan is no plan at all. Now, we found out that was not true at all. If you let Mother Nature take her course, you end up with a mishmash of invasive species that take over and prohibit the growth and establishment of native plants. Example of some of the invaders, Japanese honeysuckle, the vining honeysuckle that was brought in as a control for soil erosion years and years ago. It's gotten out of hand, and now it climbs up over the trees and creates a real mess. I think a little plant called celandine, lesser celandine, grows early in the spring and just mats the ground with its green leaves and will not allow violets and some of the early wildflowers to come in. Multiflora rose is another plant that has escaped and gotten out of control, and if you don't manage it, then you have some real problems with that plant growing all over your parkland. I think you also have some animals that need management, require management, so no plan at all just doesn't fit here. Deer increase in numbers to the point where they're a nuisance. Beaver, Canada geese are also considered nuisance animals and have to be managed. Coyotes have moved into the area, and so there are all sorts of dynamics involved in the management of the natural land. Managing natural lands is a very complex business. I think people that use the parks, as long as the grass is mowed and the trails look nice and the restrooms are clean, they're satisfied. They have no idea what it takes to manage, say, invasive species of plants that come in that you don't want, animals that overrun territory. If you get any deer in a park, they destroy the undergrowth, the understory of young seedlings coming in, and so you have to actually manage the number of deer and cut them down. I think to get this word out to the public is extremely important, and the Park District Five Rivers, I think, has an obligation to continue their very excellent educational program. When human waste actually, and this hasn't been too long ago, say 50 years or so, human waste floated down the Great Miami River, and acids and other pollutants were dumped in the river, far exceeding the levels that were set by Ohio EPA and the federal EPA. Much of this dumping was done at night, so they, I guess the plant managers assumed that EPA wouldn't be down at the end of the pipe collecting samples. We were one night and did some collecting, and actually some good friends of mine who were excellent chemists found that there was some very bad stuff going on. Keeping rivers clean is extremely important in the area. The Conservancy District has the a huge job of flood control in the Miami Valley. The district and the Park District cooperate together to develop the concept of watershed management. It's so important to manage the watersheds. In fact, this is number one in keeping a river clean. The other thing I have to mention is the aquifer. Just below our feet, we have one of the most valuable supplies of water anywhere in the world. It supplies most of us with drinking water, and if that becomes polluted, then we have a major problem. So I think all government agencies have major responsibility to keep the aquifer clean. This day and age, is with the tight budgets and limited revenue, I assume that we mean what can we do with the money we have. It's extremely important that that Five Rivers maintain the resources they have before acquiring more, both the land resources and the physical resources. I think the importance of hiring excellent staff is extremely important as years go by, and metropolitan park districts need to, and Five Rivers, of course, being one of the prime park districts in the state, need to be aware of possible pressures to sell land to gain revenue for maintaining facilities and infrastructure. Even now, there's the pressure out some of the western states pressuring the federal government to sell lands, public lands, in order to gain revenue for entitlement programs and other programs that are short funded. So I think that park administrators need to be aware of this possible pressure down the road, maybe 10 years, 25 years or so. Should not happen. We should not part with any of this precious natural area land that we have. It's hard to believe that Five Rivers Metro Parks is about to celebrate a 50th year celebration program. It's amazing. It seems like we celebrated 25 years a couple of years ago, but here it is, 50 years of growth and progress as a metropolitan park system in the Dayton, Montgomery County area. I talk to a lot of people and have talked to a number of friends, neighbors, people around the area since my retirement, and get a lot of really good feedback about the parks, the wonderful parks, the scenic parks, the fact that there's an excellent place to go and observe wildlife, go to relax and have a good time. Nice place to go picnic, take the family. I can't think of one negative comment of any significance that I've heard over the years. So my only thing is to say keep up the good work and for another 50. To take you out and have a really good fun time in nature.